Okay, this is a primer on something called a rolling buffer. Rolling buffers are a tool used in programming, especially when dealing with data acquisition, where we can keep a certain amount of data in a buffer, and then we want to throw away the old stuff. So let me just go to a share here. So basically what we're going to have is we're going to have this running buffer, okay, and it's going to have a whole bunch of elements in it. And let's just say, for instance, the first one we're going to have, this doesn't work very well, does it? Have 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., 5, etc. So what's going to happen is this is the older data. The newer data coming in up here might be 300, 301, etc. So what we have is, for whatever the length of this buffer is, what we want to do is we want to keep just the latest data. So when I take new data, I need to install it, put it in out here, okay? And I need to get rid of the older stuff. So what we do is we delete off this and we add in on the end. So if I go to, I need to change my share here. So I'm using this little piece of code. We used it before. This is base fast loop, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rolling buffer in this. So the first thing we have to do to have a rolling buffer is we have to be able to have an array to put it in. So we're going to initialize an array, okay? So I'm going to initialize array. Thank you very much, right there, okay? Oops. Seem to be having trouble with the mouse clicks today. Create a constant here, and I'm going to put zeros in, and I'm going to make this guy, how long do I want to make him? 5,000 samples. Okay. So he's going to be 5,000 samples long, which is huge, right? And then I'm going to create an indicator so that I got something to do, and we're going to call this my rolling buffer. So we're going to take this rolling buffer, okay? And what we want to do is to create a local variable, because I'm going to, in this one, I'm going to read from this buffer first, okay? Change to read. Change to read. Thank you. And then what I'm going to do is, when I'm all done, I'm going to write back to it. So the first thing I have to do is I have to say, I'm going to get rid of the old data. So I want to delete from the array. So here's my array. All right. How much am I going to delete? Well, I'm going to have to delete the same amount that I'm going to put in. So it always stays the same length. So just so I can tell what that value is, I'm just going to grab the array of up here, and that's how many samples I have to get rid of. And I'm always going to get rid of from the very beginning. So that's 0. So this is the deleted array. This is the new array without the old data on it, okay? So if I just take this and now do a build array right here. There we go. So I'm going to take the new data and, oops, did those backwards, sorry. Get on there, delete. I'm going to take the new data and bring it in the bottom, and bring the existing data in the top. And now what I need to do is this guy is going to want to concatenate it, or to append. It's going to want to turn it into a 2-dimensional array, because I have 2 1-dimensional arrays. I want to prevent that. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to tell it to concatenate. So now it's going to take two one-dimensional arrays and it's going to give me a one-dimensional array coming out. So how does this work? Well, let's take a look by dropping down. There we go. We're going to drop down a waveform graph, and we're just going to stretch him out a little bit here. And where's my graph? There he is. And we're going to wire this to him. So what we should now see is the results of this, which should be the same as that. Okay. So we're going to execute this guy. And you can see, there we go. Now, if we shorten this guy down a little bit, let's say to 1000, and it's probably not going to let me do that. Yeah, because I got to auto scale it. There we go. You can see there's my sine wave, just like I've got before. He's following. So all of my data is being stacked in. If I want to grab a portion of the data, okay, I could do that. It all exists in my array. Now, we use this technique a lot. Also when we're dealing with XY graphs, okay? And the reason we do it with XY graphs is because what do I need to have for an XY graph to work? I need to have time in seconds down here. So I'm going to modify this guy right here. Actually, I'm going to create another one just like it. Might be easier. And we're going to create this one, and we're going to duplicate him. And we're going to call this my time array. Okay. Create a local variable of him. There we go. So here's time. And now we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did here. Okay. So there's that guy. The only difference is that we are not going to bring in this data. What we need to do is we need to have time. We need to have a sample for every single element in the array. If this is 5,000 elements long, I have to have a time element of 5,000. How do I create that? The easiest way to do that is to create a for loop. And I'm going to run this for loop for as many times as I have samples. Okay. My sampling rate right here is 3,000. So I'm going to take 3,000 times the iteration timer. Oops, I'm sorry, I'm going to take 3,000 inverse of that. 1 over x. There we go. And I'm going to multiply it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an array of, or a range of values that start at 1/3000th, and then it just keeps incrementing so that I'll have however many there are at that many, whatever that increment is. And if I change what my acquisition rate is here, I have to change what that value is here also. Now, if I just did this, and let's say I replaced 100 elements, then my next 100 elements would have the exact same time to it. And we don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a short little trick. I'm going to bring a second output. So this one is the array of time values, and this one is going to be just the very last value. Okay. And what I'm going to do then is to take and pass that back to the next iteration. So if I pass this one in to here, and I bring this guy into here again, now I can come into here and I can add what the previous value was. Okay. so that now my time values will always be getting bigger and bigger and bigger based on that. Okay. And now I have to take this new time value and I have to put it together with the old time value right there. So we're bringing the old time value with the old elements removed. We're adding into it the new time values. We got to remember to tell it that I'm going to concatenate, and then we're going to feed this into time. So now what I have is a rolling buffer of values, analog values, and I have a rolling buffer of time values that are continually increasing since the time I started data acquisition. Now, if I want to take and put these into my XY graph, which is right here, there he is. I need to take and do a, come on, I need to do a bundle, okay? And I'm going to bundle my time on top and my X, right, my Y values on the bottom, and feed this into here. And now we're going to execute this. And what we're going to see is here's time in seconds. And you can see that what's going on here, that's our display. If we pause this and I go in and let's say we look at, for instance, from 9 to 9.05 seconds. There's my sine wave, just like I have up there, okay? It's the same data, and it's associated now with time in seconds, okay? That's how to do a rolling buffer and how to do a time buffer for an XY graph.